Welcome back to Quick Films. Today I'm going to explain a Japanese movie called Tomie Unlimited, released in the year 2011. Spoilers ahead. Remember to like the video and subscribe. Tsukiko Izumikawa is a high school girl and a member of the photography club. She enjoys taking aesthetic pictures of everything she comes across. One day on her way home, she stops under a construction building and clicks pictures of it. She's with her best friend Yoshie, who doesn't understand why Tsukiko doesn't take pictures of something beautiful like a sunset. The girls run into Tsukiko's elder stepsister Tomie, who goes to the same high school. Tomie's with a guy named Toshio. Tsukiko has a crush on him and is consumed with jealousy on seeing her stepsister get along with him. She calls Tomie near, offering to take her pictures. When the elder sister is standing under the construction building, Tsukiko clicks repeated candid shots. Suddenly, Tomie claims that she knows how Tsukiko feels. She says that a powerful feeling of jealousy might get Tsukiko in trouble later on. A surprised Tsukiko is about to ask her what that means, but before that, a steel cross falls off the top of the building. Within seconds, it crushes Tomie's neck and pierces through her body. Everyone freezes in shock at the horrifying sight in front of them. Tsukiko's camera falls to the ground and takes pictures of Tomie on its own. At the same time, Tomie's eyes turn red as she stares at Tsukiko. A year later, Tsukiko still hasn't gotten over Tomie's death and frequently gets nightmares of that day. On the anniversary of Tomie's birthday, she and her parents cut a cake in her memory. Suddenly, Tsukiko hears a knock on their front door and walks towards it. To her horror, the person outside claims that she's Tomie. Tsukiko runs to her parents, who are just as surprised. Her father opens the door to reveal Tomie standing outside. When the family gets over the shock, they hug her, happy that she's somehow returned to life. They don't even bother asking how she came back from the dead and just welcome her back to the family. Tomie claims that she's hungry and has a bad attitude when given the cake. She demands that her parents cook something better and fancier for her return. Then, her eyes land on a framed picture of herself that Tsukiko had taken right before her death. The parents look at the picture lovingly, but Tomie punches it. Later that night, Tsukiko goes to Tomie's room to find her taking a bath. She invites Tsukiko into the bathtub with her and laughs about the absurd idea. The following morning, Tsukiko walks into the dining room to see her father smelling and licking Tomie's hair. When Tsukiko calls him out on it, he says that he missed his daughter. Tsukiko is shocked by the strange behavior. It's almost as if the new Tomie has cast a spell on her father. Outside, she finds her mother burning all of the pictures in her collection. When Tsukiko stops her, her mother claims that Tomie had asked her to do so. Tomie arrives, and she and Tsukiko struggle for a picture, and during the fight, Tomie is pushed to a wall. The father gets so mad at Tsukiko for hurting his daughter that he brutally hits her with a telephone wire, and only stops when Tomie asks him to. An injured Tsukiko goes to the shower to relieve the pain, but Tomie gets into the bathtub with her. Tsukiko tells her that she's always felt guilty for her death, when suddenly, the lights start to flicker. While the younger sister looks at the lights nervously, the older one doesn't seem to care. She gets closer to Tsukiko and kisses her. A few seconds later, Tsukiko composes herself and pushes her older sister away. Tomie finally claims that she knows that Tsukiko has always had a crush on her boyfriend and was jealous of her relationship with him. Following that, she sweeps her hair to one side to reveal the scar from the accident that killed her. To Tsukiko's horror, a tongue emerges from inside, followed by a disfigured tumor that talks. Tsukiko pushes Tomie aside and runs to her parents. However, they don't believe her when she claims that her sister is a monster. In contrast, they ask her to apologize for being mean. Tomie stops all of them and claims that she doesn't want to stay in the house anymore. She packs her bags and gets ready to move out as her father begs her to stay. To Tsukiko's surprise, Tomie laughs at the family for believing that she's actually their daughter. When Tomie still doesn't agree to stay with them, the father stabs her in the back and kills her. He regrets it instantly, but can do nothing to bring his daughter back. The family then carries the dead body to the bathroom and butchers it to dispose of it. When no one is looking, Tomie's eyes move and stare at Tsukiko. The following morning, the family wakes up in the hallway, exhausted from the day before. While packing lunch for Tsukiko, her mother accidentally drops a clump of flesh into the lunchbox. At school, Yoshie notices that Tsukiko is tired, but on being asked, Tsukiko doesn't tell her about the events the day before. The teacher introduces a new transfer student. To Tsukiko's utter surprise, she happens to be Tomie yet again. Although she recognizes her sister, the others in the class don't seem to know who she is. During the lunch break, Tsukiko tells Yoshie about this, but she dismisses the matter. Upon opening the lunchbox, Tsukiko sees a miniature Tomie's head inside. She freaks out and runs outside to throw the box in the trash. Later, Yoshie comes looking for her and hears a noise from the trash. Upon checking, she also finds the lunchbox with multiple Tomie faces. She panics and tries to run, but the miniature faces extend their abnormally long tongues and strangle her to death. Back in the house, the family had dumped Tomie's decapitated head into a bin. When the father is alone, the head emerges from it and asks for help. The father thinks that he's hallucinating, but Tomie insists that she needs to feed on a family member to regenerate her body. Eventually, she convinces him to kill his wife for the purpose. Meanwhile, in school, Tsukiko's crush, Toshio, approaches her and asks her if she's still mourning her sister's death. They have a heart-to-heart chat about everything, after which Tsukiko feels a lot better. She's happy that Toshio is finally getting along with her. He even calls her to the judo club to take pictures of their team. While they're at it, Tomie arrives in the practice room, challenging the men to a fight. Toshio is shocked to see her alive, but she ignores him entirely. A man steps forward to fight her, and she surprises everyone by defeating him with little to no effort. Following that, Toshio asks her how she got back, but Tomie doesn't seem to remember him. She tackles him to the floor and kisses him on the lips. Tsukiko sees this and is struck with a pang of jealousy. After school, she asks the new Tomie who she actually is. When she doesn't get a reply, she threatens her to stay away from Toshio. Upon returning home, Tsukiko notices that her mother is missing and her father has a strange bag that he claims contains medicines. Tsukiko doesn't think much of it and simply goes to her room. Her father, on the other hand, feeds the medicine to Tomie's head. Then, we find out that he's already killed their mother at Tomie's request. Tomie's head asks him to cut out the mother's tongue and feed it to her. The father doesn't question her and does as told. The next day, Toshio ignores Tsukiko and walks hand in hand with Tomie. A heartbroken Tsukiko runs away. Later in the studio, she's developing some pictures when Yoshie approaches her. Since Tsukiko didn't know that Yoshie was dead a while ago, she talks to her normally. But soon, Yoshie reveals her shoulder that has the same tumor as Tomie did earlier. The grotesque tongue horrifies Tsukiko, and she runs away. She eventually enters a room where the boys from the judo team are hanging out. They claim that they have the urge to kill and are clearly possessed by something. When Tsukiko runs away again, Yoshie comes into the room and asks the team about her. They see the tumor that talks and get agitated. The group holds her, planning to murder her because of the tumor. Next, we see Tsukiko running down the hallway. She runs into a room to see Toshio stabbing Tomie repeatedly while laughing maniacally. Tomie's body lies in a pool of her own blood. Upon being called, Toshio comes to his senses and apologizes to Tomie for killing her. Tsukiko asks him to run away, but he just wants to stay with the dead body. All of a sudden, the blood starts moving on its own, giving rise to another Tomie. The new Tomie and Toshio kiss as Tsukiko watches in horror. Back in another room, the judo team is about to cut Yoshie's head off with a pair of garden scissors. While Yoshie begs for her life, the tumor on her shoulder urges them to kill her. They decapitate her and her head falls to the floor. Following that, they brainstorm ideas of getting rid of the body. However, before they can think of something, the headless body rises up. The tumor has replaced the head and taken over the body. She launches at them, then runs outside. Somewhere else, Tomie and Toshio continue making out. In a fit of rage, Tsukiko stabs Toshio in the back of his neck and kills him. She then wishes for Tomie to die and stabs her in the face. The impact causes Tomie's body to explode, splattering blood everywhere. Following that encounter, Yoshie's headless body chases Tsukiko around the school. While running away, Tsukiko stumbles upon the judo team, who are all also dead. She ignores them and runs upstairs, locking herself in a room. Just when she thinks she's safe, a bin starts to move. From inside it emerges the head of the earlier Tomie, who is being fed by her father. She's grown a pair of hairy legs, but has no torso. Even her hair has miniature heads hung to it. Tsukiko panics and retreats in fear, only to be confronted by another Tomie, who comes out of a locker. By now, Yoshie has also entered the room. They surround Tsukiko, and she cries in fear. Then one of them gets closer to kiss her. All of a sudden, Tsukiko wakes up in her bed, realizing that she was just dreaming. Upon sitting down with her parents for breakfast, she finds out that she's their only child. She laughs at herself for believing that the dream was real. But just then, her father starts to eat clumps of hair off of his plate. She runs to her mother for help, but stops when she sees that her mother's head has turned upside down. Both parents then run after Tsukiko with the aim of killing her. While trying to run away, Tsukiko comes across a giant Tomie head in the living room. The head releases several centipedes with her face on it. The giant insects chase Tsukiko around the house and kill her parents in the process. When Tsukiko rushes to climb up the stairs, she finds Toshio, who tries to push her down. She overpowers him and pushes him off the stairs. Seconds later, Yoshie also appears and tries to do the same. She's also pushed down and is eaten by the insects. Tsukiko tries to lock herself inside her room, but has to stop when the giant Tomie appears at her door. However, Tsukiko takes pictures of her, making her go away. A while later, she goes downstairs and tells the giant Tomie that she's the only person who understands her. The sisters seem to reconcile before the centipedes take over Tsukiko and kill her. In the last scene, we see Tsukiko walking out of the house, resembling Tomie. She goes around town and sees Tomie's face on every other person. Eventually, she meets a stranger and agrees to go home with him. In the following scene, we see him stabbing her brutally. Tsukiko's dead body looks into the mirror and sees Tomie's face. The sisters look at each other and laugh hysterically. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.